everybody, I'm Kate. Welcome back to Singly Loving. I'm a little bit nervous about today's video. I'm going to respond to another common reaction that I get when I tell people that I'm a single foster parent. And I'm nervous because I'm not even really sure how I can answer this. So the common reaction is, oh, are you going to adopt? To be honest, I get really uncomfortable whenever I get asked that. And this is why. It's because I'm not doing foster care to adopt. I'm not a foster parent because I plan to adopt. But adoption is part of this whole system, and some kids' realities end in the need for a permanent home. And I think before I was a foster parent, I know before I was a foster parent, I had absolutely zero intention of adopting. Zero whatsoever. I even went so far as to think that, and this is true, but that because I'm single, it puts me uniquely in a place where I'm not necessarily looking to adopt, and so my whole heart and my whole effort can be towards reunification, which is such an important part of foster care. And even though I still have that heart for reunification, I think I've also seen this other side that unfortunately for many kids, far too many kids, they don't go back with family and they can't go back with family. And I don't like the idea now that I'm a foster parent and I've seen kids come in and out of my home. I don't think it settles well with me anymore that I would definitively say no to a child that needed adoptive home if I was in the position where they had been in my house and they knew me and I was a parent figure to them at that point. So I don't know if you can kind of sense why this is tricky for me when I get asked that. Oftentimes it's one of the very first things I get asked when I talk to somebody about being a single foster parent. And I see where it's coming from. I think there's a lot of assumptions that are made that if you're fostering, it is because you want to be a permanent parent to the kids. But there's just so much more to foster care than just kids coming into your home and then a year or two later you get to adopt them. There's so many other factors in between, and it's really hard to say what I would do in that situation, what I would do if there was a child that needed a permanent home and they had been in my home. I'd like to say that I would say absolutely yes, but if you had asked me a year ago, I would have said that I would have been completely supportive to whatever permanent family that they would go to after me, but it was not going to be me. So within a year, I've really flip-flopped on this whole answer, and I don't know how to answer that question, will I adopt? And that's uncomfortable for me because it's a complicated issue, and I think for a lot of foster parents, maybe not all, but I think for a lot, I could safely say that for a lot, it's a complicated issue. It's not as black and white as we want it to be. There's a lot of gray. There's a lot of factors that go into a child's history and what they need, and I can admit I might not be the best home for a child with certain trauma backgrounds, even if they end up in my home and they're in my home for a long time and I grow to love them. I just need to be realistic that my answer can't always be yes and it won't always be no. But I want to keep my hands open to what will happen. And the more I get into this world of foster care, I see more how you just don't know what you don't know. And there are so many crazy things that happen in this system, and I can't I think with a good conscience for myself, say definitively no. But I also, I think I would be, for me personally, in my situation as a single, be naive to say that definitely yes, I would adopt if a child was in my home and needed it. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of where I'm at. I think I have my hands more open to it than I ever have, just because I see there's such a great need for kids to have permanent families, and there's not a lot of people out there, relatively, there's not a lot of people out there that are willing to lay aside their comforts and their patterns and their flexibility and all the things that it requires to be a great foster parent. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot of homes. There's many, and I thank those of you that are doing it. But there's many people for many reasons who can't become a foster parent, or it hasn't been an option yet, or they just choose not to. And so in my position where I know that I absolutely can love a child that's not my own as if they are my own, I really want to steward that well, if that makes sense. Like, that is a great privilege to have that capacity and that heart and that vision to be there for kids and to love kids. And so I want to keep my hands open to, yes, maybe I would adopt, but I don't know that answer definitively. Now, I think there's another side to that. When people ask that question, maybe there's an assumption that I am a foster parent because I'm interested in adopting. Okay, that's a whole nother question. So let me try to answer that side of it. That is a lot easier for me. No, I am not a foster parent because I want to adopt. That, for some people, is their reason for getting involved with foster care. And that's great. We need all types of people for all types of situations. But my heart for getting into foster care was very much to support the reunification of families. And also to love kids well, to love people in hard places well. And I think foster care and the system is a great place to get to do that for people. I really wanted to support my community, and there's a huge need in my community for foster parents. And so, no, I didn't get into it to adopt. My heart wasn't, and maybe I can make another video about this at some time, but it very much was not, oh, I'm single, I'm getting older, I really need to become a mom because my dream is to become a mom. If I didn't love kids and I didn't want to be a mom someday, I would not be a foster parent now, if that makes sense. But that wasn't my motivation getting into it. My motivation was more, there's a need. I have all the things it takes to be a great foster parent, and I can't think of any reason not to. And for a long time, I made some, maybe 2 or 3 excuses for why I wasn't. And just slowly, those excuses became really illegitimate in my life. And I had a home and the resources and the love, and I love kids. I really wanted to serve my community, and it was just the perfect way for me to do it at that time in my life, and it still is. And so I'm a foster parent. So I hope that answers that question in a couple of different ways, or maybe it answers that common reaction in a couple of different ways. No, I didn't get into it to adopt, but would I adopt? I would say my hands are open at this point, even though when I first started, they weren't. And I had my reasons for them not being open at that time, but I'm glad they're open now. So I hope that answers that question. Thank you all so much for being part of this journey with me. If you have any additional reactions or questions for me, please let me know in the comments or leave me a message in a private message, and I will try to answer those for you, because I'd love to help people who are interested in foster care, even if it's just you want to help a friend who is a foster parent. So please let me know what you think, and I'll get back to you whenever I can. All right, everybody, have a great day. Bye.